guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have another deck video for you guys where I'm going to be joined by Bubblebox and SilverRaptor. Please make sure that you check out Bubblebox's channel in the description below, and if you want more videos like this, then please make sure you also check out the playlist that will be linked below. In this video, we're going to be going through our decks, our deck selection, and the reason for our unit choices. And in this one, we're going to be looking at the Scandinavian coalition deck after previously looking at the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish decks. To start off with, we have myself talking through the logistics units. To begin with, I have the XA186NO KPV. I really like this, extremely fast, 100 km/h speed. It's a shame that it's not amphibious like its unarmored counterpart, but you know, it's definitely still a very good mobile CV with a decent amount of armor, 3 front and 3 side armor, definitely worth having. Then I have the Stabsdeling in the Lynx, best helicopter to have really to carry these infantry about because of the 300 km/h speed, so that's why I chose these out of all of the choices in particular. Then I have the AS332 supply chopper. I think this is probably the best, it's the best helicopter I think you can get. The HKP is a choice, but I don't think it has as much supply, so I would prefer to have the AS332 with more supply, and it's also quicker as well, so faster to get backwards and forwards. And then I have an FOB, so don't have any trucks, just the helicopter with the supply.
Okay. Silver.
Yeah, I've got the STRIPBV command truck with the autocannon, and it's amphibious as well. Like I said, I like CVs that can defend themselves reasonably well, so in case I get flanked and I wasn't paying attention, at least they can defend themselves for a little bit. I also got the AS332 for supply helicopter, and then I've got the Jupiter trucks from Denmark just to fill it up for the truck campaign, I guess.
Okay, cool. Is that all your commands? Just the one?
Just the one, yeah. I get 5 of them, so.
Okay, yeah, I've got the same. I've got the SDR-PBVs. It was a little bit of a toss-up between those and the ones Vulcan got, but I went for the amphibious nature of the vehicle rather than the speed. These are a bit slower than the ones Vulcan got. But yeah, they're quite nice as well. Both of those two are really nice armored cars for your commands. And then I got the infantry commands as well, 3 of those, but I got the Commando Plus. The choppers aren't as fast at 205 as the ones that Vulcan got, but I basically just wanted to get them in the cheapest chopper I could. I'm not that bothered about getting them to places that quickly, as long as I get them to the places safely, really. Apart from that, FOB AS332, I think that's a no-brainer amongst the choppers as far as logistics are concerned. And I got the Amphibiel 101 just in case I need that amphibious. A little bit less, well, quite a lot less supply, of course, aboard those, but you've got the amphibious nature of the truck in case you need that. And that's my logistics.
All right.
So moving on to the infantry. And Silver, what have you got for that?
I've got 2 stacks of veteran FSK and XA180s for the fast trucks amphibious nature. These are my, elite troops for part fighting. Excellent for locking down a village. I then also got the Givermen 90s. I learned my lesson, and I got the 90s with the basically the APC truck with the autocannon. Yep. And then finally, you guys are gonna shake your head at this. I also got the militia, the Hedgefornet, the Denmark one with the basically the same accuracy as stabilizer. Like I said, I'm going to throw these at the enemy and basically support with by basically shooting whatever shoots them.
Yeah, well, they're only 5-point trucks, so you can't go wrong really, I suppose.
Right, that's why I pick them.
Although you have got your choice of infantry in this deck, but yeah, okay.
Yep. And then I've also got the RBS 90s.
Yeah.
Cool. The long range stuff. Good.
Vulcan.
Vulcan.
I think our choices are quite strange. Yeah, considering the amount of quality infantry that the Scandinavians
I was
have.
thinking.
For me, I've got a card of the FSKs in the XA180s for the amphibious truck, which is really, really quick. Definitely a good squad with the Eric's Sakos missiles there. Just incredibly powerful MG3 CQC machine gun, really high rate of fire. I have the LVGRP RBS 90s with the 2,800 meter range, incredibly strong man-pad squad, definitely worth having. Then I have 2 cards of the Volkskamjägers, but one's a Volkskamjäger 90 and one's a normal Volkskamjägers. And the reason I've done this is basically because I want one to be defensive and one to be aggressive. So I've got the normal Volkskamjägers, which would be the ones that would sort of, move forwards with the Carl Gustav, much sort of more reliable at close combat against enemy APCs. And then you've got the Volkskamjäger 90s with the Erics with the reload time instead of the rate of fire, more for defensive or, picks off units on the edge of towns and so on. So yeah, I've got them both in the XA180s again because they're nice, really, really good, cheap and fast APCs. Probably, I think, the best APCs that the Scandinavian can get, other than the CV 903ON or the STRB, is it? I can't remember. STRF, sorry. Yeah, I've got some Gevanmen as well, the 90s in the CV 903ON. So yeah. I like the Gevanmen basically because they do have the MG3, very, very strong 10-point infantry. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. I've got, kind of, again, similar but with a few little subtle differences. I got 2 Volkskamjägers as my main infantry squads, both 90s though, with the Erics for me. My mind doesn't function as well if I've got too many different types, so I'll go for just the Erics. I won't have to think too much then. I've just got the one type, not attacking and defensive. I've actually got mine. Why have I got mine in these trucks? XA186 and those. I think it's for the extra armor, although they're not amphibious. So
definitely,
yeah.
It's just a trade-off. You get more armor and sort of the amphibious capability.
Yeah, I could have got one in one and one in the other, I guess. But yeah, I'll stick to how it is. I'll just have them for my main side if I need to attack a town or something. I've got some FSKs as well with the Erics as well in the same trucks. Got some Jagers in amphibiels, so I've got some in amphibious trucks as well, some commando type infantry, and then of course I've got the RBS 90s as well with their big range. That's my infantry. So moving on to the support, Vulcan, I think you're first on this one.
So to begin with, I have the automatic. I think it's definitely worth having. It was kind of like I didn't know whether to bring it or not, mainly because it can get picked off by the seed, but just because of how well it performs in matches against both ground and air units, I think it's definitely worth taking. 60 rate of fire, you've got the 2,975 meter range against helicopters and airplanes with 55% accuracy, and the 3 HE power, 12 AP power, definitely strong enough to pack a punch against relatively unarmed vehicles or aircraft in general. It's only going to take 4 shots to hit it or shoot it down, so definitely worth having in my opinion. Then I have a card of the EOTS Hawks. Again, really worth having because this time that they're not radar. It's like you get the Hawks and they're not radar, and I think that makes these so valuable because you're getting the same power as something that would get taken out by seed that can't get taken out by seed. So with the 4,200 meter range, you are going to be catching out those aircraft, especially seed aircraft, that are going to come over and try and sweep out your anti-air. So I think they are definitely valuable. But to accompany those, I also have some NOAAs. So more long-range radar, but this time actual radar. So Same range, a little bit better accuracy, but again, just some super long range radar to shoot down those pesky aircraft. These are the sort of things I would bring in after I know I've shot down some seed, because if you bring them in before, they are obviously going to get targeted pretty quickly because they are reasonably expensive for anti-air.
Sure. Okay.
Then to accompany those, I have the LV RBV 701s, these little carriers with the infrared AA on top of them, 2,625 meter range with a 45% accuracy. I actually have these as hardened, so I get a little bit less of them, but I think it's worth getting the accuracy upgrade to make these more effective. For you can hide them in towns along with your man-pad squads and so on, and they just shoot down the pesky helicopters that appear here and there. The only trouble with them is that they do have a relatively low speed compared to like a rover with the RBS 90 on them, but I just like the fact that they're a bit more durable. So yeah, that's why I have them.
Okay.
And then as my 5th support unit, I actually have the AMOS for the mortars there. I actually don't have any heavy artillery on this deck specifically, so yeah, I've just got the mortars, the AMOS. Very, very good rate of fire on those, and can take out things on the ground pretty effectively as well because of the 19 rate of fire, 120mm heat rounds. So yeah.
Yep, cool. Silver.
Yeah, I got the AMOS as well. That's actually my only artillery unit. They're just really good for what they do. I also got the Eotis Hawks. I mean, being able to shoot down airplanes without having to worry about speed is very well done. And because of my logic of thinking was that these would help take down the seed aircraft and everything, I actually got both the automatic and the LVKV 90 because I just love the idea of shooting down helicopters and planes with flak. It just seems funny. So
cool.
I got those for my radar, and that's it for my support.
Yeah, my support kind of picked itself really as far as the anti-air, and the artillery is concerned as well. Anti-air, the Hawk and the automatic, of course, the OTTS Hawk and the automatic, of course. And then I went for the Rover RBS 90s. I did think about getting the others the same as Vulcan, but I went for these really because of their speed, slightly longer range against choppers. So I went for these guys, and then I got the AMOS as well. So no long range artillery for me either, just the AMOS. So moving on to the tanks. And Silva, what have you got for your tanks?
I'm just going to say right now they are all Swedish. So first I got 2 stacks of hardened STRV 121s, basically that Leopard 2 variant that the Swedish have, the best tank basically all the nations can get. Yep. I then have the STRV 103D again. That tank is pretty good. Helps a medium tank to supplement it. Yeah. I also got the STRV 105s because with that really massive gun that they have, and I also got STRV 102Rs because I remember Vulcan saying that these were also very good value for money, so I decided to get them as well to supplement my cheap spam tank.
Cool. And what about you, Vulcan?
Mine is exactly the same, except from I only have 1 card of the STRV 121s as trained because you get 3 of them. So yeah, I'm only missing out on like 1 tank there. But yeah, all the other tanks just brilliant because of their accuracy for price is just incredible. And the high AP power as well, especially on the STRV 105, you get 16 AP power and 70% accuracy for 55 points, which is almost the same as, well, if not better than the STRV 103D, which costs almost, 35 points more. So yeah, definite value for money on the STRV 105, but the STRV 103D definitely worth taking for the small size compared to the big size of almost every other tank. So
that tank also has a higher rate of fire.
Yeah, higher rate of fire. 15 rounds per minute is very, very fast and can wreck infantry squads very quickly. Also, the 15 front armor there isn't easy to take care of at all. So
that is 1 round every 4 seconds.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, I've gone pretty much all Swedish as well, although I've just swapped my last one out after hearing your two explanations for the STRV 105. I've put that one in now as well. So I'm all Swedish now with two STRV 121s, four of them, two cards. So they're all at, what is it, hardened, is it? And then STRV 103Ds, they're vetted up as well. The 103Cs vetted up, and the STRV 105s as well, vetted up. Also, so we're pretty strong on tanks in this deck, that's for sure. Can probably take on, maybe, so I won't say all of the Red 4 units, but they can certainly
I would
hold their
say
own
the
against them.
SDRV is probably the only tank, like medium tank, for the similar price that can take on the ZTZ85-2 of the Chinese.
Yeah.
That's its main counterpart in terms of value for money.
Yeah, sure. Good stuff. Okay, moving on to the Reconnaissance. I think it's Vulcan. What have you got?
So to start off with, I have the AS350 helicopter. Best helicopter to choose mainly because of the 6th strength. It's also pretty nifty. It's got 290 km/h speed, and it does have, of course, the very good recon. So a nice helicopter all round to bring in. Then I have the EPBV-90 Exceptional Recon. Has only a machine gun, but still the Exceptional Recon, very, very useful for spotting those extra few units that may catch you out if you otherwise didn't have Exceptional Recon.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a card of the Spajon Viggen trucks, like the little cars with the machine guns on them, 110 km/h speed. I probably wrecked the name, but it does have an MG3. I didn't really point this out when we were going through the Denmark deck, but MG3s are really, really good. High rate of fire, and can pick off infantry squads or do a little bit of damage to them at least. But it's going to get itself out of trouble with the 110 km/h speed. I have a card of the Marine Jaegers, the snipers. Not really a massive fan of snipers, I guess, but I thought
I was about to say, you and snipers, Vulcan?
I thought I would try out, like the exceptional stealth. I saw in a game that we played against someone that I drove some tanks up, and I was like, why the hell are there sniper squads here? I did not see them at all, like they're just completely hidden. So yeah, I thought I would try that out. And then I also have a 5th card of Falcon Jaegers, which are the recon 10-point infantry shock unit. Definitely good for accompanying your infantry into towns, forests, just in general, as you attack, because it will give your infantry the valuable information it needs to fight effectively. So good infantry there to bring in.
Yeah, sure. Yep. And Silver.
I got the AS350 helicopter as well. I actually decided to get the NM116, very good optics tank, just for a bit of, fire support from like a forest or something for infantry, or to accompany with the massive armor I have in the tank section.
Yeah.
And I then got 2 cards of Jaegers. So I've got a total of 10 of these. I thought these were a little bit better than the Falcon Jaegers that Vulcan have, stat-wise. They have that submachine gun with the 533 rounds per minute, which I just think is really good at head-to-head engages this infantry. And then, of course, I also got the Marine Jaeger as well, the sniper squad, because hiding and the enemy never able to see these makes these really good.
Yeah, and I've got them as well. I kind of do like these because it's a kind of a challenge to see how close you can get these to the enemy without them being spotted. I mean, they can sit right next to some units and just not be spotted at all. But they can't really shoot. They can't do too much apart from shoot infantry at range. But they're just a pure recon squad, basically, aren't they? I've also got some Jaeger 90s, a good infantry in their own right, can go up with your main infantry, and as Falcon said in previous videos, can just support your main infantry in towns and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, like I said, the Jaeger 90s, I got the regular Jaegers over the Jaeger 90s because they have a better light machine gun, and I'd rather have that than the better anti-tank gun.
Yeah, I did forget about that actually, so I'm just going to quickly swap them out for the normal ones. Okay, and finally, oh, I did get the chopper, of course, the good one with the good strength, and then I got the Wildcat as well.
Yay.
Finally, you
Yes.
got the Wildcat.
I got the Wildcat, only 20 points. I got it. Yeah, it's there. It's going to do me a great job in the game. So that's my recon. So moving on to the vehicles, Silver. Have you got any?
Yes, I got the M92 PNMK, basically your build cat, but in vehicle tab mode.
Yeah.
I then got the NM142 with those TOW2 missiles, 70-point anti-tank ATGM.
Cool.
And then I got the IKV-105s, basically the amphibious tanks the Swedish have.
You spent 2 points on them in this deck, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have anything, so
Nothing at all.
no vehicles at all. Now, the thing is, it's kind of like the reason I didn't necessarily put in like the M92 PNMK or the Wildcat in this deck, I think, is because generally there are units that do stuff better than them, and
Sure.
in this deck where you have like more choice of units, I felt that they weren't really necessary. But yeah.
Yeah. Although the Wildcat does kind of double as a recon, I guess. But
yeah, it's also cheaper than the vehicle counterpart.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I just couldn't resist spending the 1 point. That was all. I can't go through a whole deck and not spend just a 1 point cost on a tab. So I got the little TOW2 trucks, the 70-point ones, the decent ones with the okay range, very good actually in AP power. I just whether I'll use them or not, because we've got such good tanks, as SilverRaptor said. But I couldn't really justify anything else.
What was that? The Laro 2 or Laro
the
TOW2?
M113A1 TOW2.
Oh, okay.
70.1. Yeah. But I couldn't really justify any others because of the good tanks we've got in this deck, really.
Yep.
Onto the helis then.
I didn't get any.
Okay.
I got one card of the Fennec TOW2s. I was
I thought
tempted
you were going to say
to
that. Yeah.
get a card of the Fennec 20mm as well, but I think again it's a case of I'd much rather spend those 2 points on something else in this deck. There's just so much better value you can get out of that. So yeah, I've got the Fennec TOW2s just because, you know, they have the 70% accuracy, very good at sniping units which move too far forwards and so on. So yeah, just keeps itself out of AA range and you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, so I'm figuring you two have got full air
Yes.
on these decks. I'm figuring because I've got actually two choppers and I haven't got full air, but you guys are saving up your points by the sounds of it. So I've got the Fennec. I did get the Fennec 20mm. 20mm guns as well on them. I got those, and I also, this is more for a reactive defense in case we need it. I got the Fennec TOW2s as well, just in case we need something quickly somewhere to stop a tank push or an armor push or something. So I've got those.
And what I find with like helicopters, in particular with like decks that don't utilize them a lot, is that people ignore them. Like we saw in like a game we played that my Fennec TOW2s can just literally fly around, and because everyone's focusing on the heavy air that comes from these kinds of decks, like as in aircraft rather than helicopters, you can move these helicopters around with relative freedom, and they're going to pick off units, especially when people attack, because they tend to leave their AA behind their tanks, you know, when they're moving forward.
Yeah, especially if it's kind of slow radar AA.
Exactly.
Yeah, and because you've got a big air force, I guess. Yeah, good point. Right, let's move on to the aircraft then. And Vulcan, kick off with all your aircraft and let's see what you've got.
So, and then I don't have 5 cards of aircraft. I only have 4 cards, but I'm starting off with the F-16A Fighting Falcon. Now, this thing is a beast. I love this plane. The 2 1,000 kilogram bombs are just amazing. You know what 1,000 kilogram bombs are like. They just destroy anything you need them to. Now the ECM is a little bit low, but again, a really, really solid bomber for 125 points. Definitely very good value for money.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then I have the JAS-39 Gripen. Now, this was a toss-up. I didn't know whether to take like the F-16AM or the Gripen, but they're basically the same. The only thing is that the F-16 has a slightly better like main gun, but I took the Gripen just because it looks cool. The F-16 is still a really nice looking plane. You know, the Gripen's just like a specific Scandinavian unit that I thought, you know, deserved a space in my deck.
Cool.
The other thing was I was tempted to get the F-16A Block 15 instead, mainly due to availability. So instead of they're not even that much worse. It's just the main difference between an F-16A Block 15 and either the F-16AM or the Gripen is that it has SEMAC radar, which makes it cost 40 points less, but you get 3 of them. So it was a trade up, but I eventually went for the Gripens.
Okay.
I have the F5A Puffs on this deck, mainly because it's the only seed aircraft that the Scandinavians get, so definitely worth having. And it's only 70 points as well with that anti-radar missile, which can be really useful. So yeah, 30% ECM, not too easy to shoot down, definitely worth having. And then finally I have the AJS 37 Viggens, and the reason for this is because they are the highest AP power cluster munition aircraft in the game, and the deck in general is not necessarily built around super heavy tanks. So if you need anything extra to deal with like a Russian armored deck or a Sovcode armored deck or something crazy like that, then you have the cluster munitions to deal with it. Also, cluster munitions can be quite versatile in blowing up like APC convoys and so on like that. So
yeah,
definitely something I think that was worth having.
Yep, good choices, I reckon. Silver, what do you reckon?
I got the F-35 Draken Wands with their 6 500-kilogram bombs. When I think of a bomber, I just like to bomb an entire area and hope to get everything in it taken care of.
Okay.
And then, of course, I got the Viggens with their cluster bombs to help take out the tanks as well. And then for air superiority, like Vulcan said, it was a bit of a toss-up between planes, but I went with the F-16AM because I'd rather because I wanted to get a Norwegian plane since I already had a Swedish and a Denmark plane as well. So get a little bit of a balance between aircraft was my thinking. I'm weird like that, I guess, but
yeah, you've gone for different choices here. Yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I've gone for the 3 that I think are the most useful in this deck. The Fighting Falcons, of course, amazing aircraft. It never kind of lets you down unless the skies of the enemy are full of anti-aircraft fighters, of course. But they still seem to do well, whatever the game. And of course, in the Norway deck, you get 3. Unfortunately, in this one, you only get 2, but they're still definitely going to be worth putting in the deck. Puffs, got those as well, 3 of them. We can have a lot of puffs on the field in these games, it looks like. And then we've got the AJS Viggen with its cluster bombs as well. And I've just got one note on SilverRaptor. Why don't you get the Viggen over the Draken WDNS? Oh, sorry, the Fighting Falcon over the Draken.
Because the Draken has 6 500-kilogram bombs. It's kind of like spread out a bit more, so I can try to get infantry that's a little bit spread out better. And I just, whenever I think of a bomber, I like to have like saturated area with bombs.
Okay.
Sort of idea. And also, I didn't get the puffs because first off, I knew you guys would get them, and second off, I only have 3 aircraft, so I didn't really need to shoot down their radar since I have no helicopters.
The Draken isn't that much of a bad choice. You've technically got 1,000 kilogram more munitions, but you got a slightly slower plane, but with more ECM. So. It's just sort of like they're both sort of the same, but they kind of deliver their payload differently. That's pretty much the only difference, in my opinion. Obviously, the Fighting Falcon does have the infrared missile extra, as well, just in case it wants to fire it off at a random helicopter that it flies past. But in general, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Draken maybe could be slightly better at bombing infantry and trees and stuff where you're not quite sure where they are, whereas the Fighting Falcon more of a position bomber, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely the Fighting Falcon will hit the target you are specifically aiming for, whereas the Drakens, a lot more splash.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I think that's about it for this deck. Any final words, gentlemen?
Nope. Let's get
Okay.
get this rolling.
Let's get the favorite unit rolling first.
That's right.
I know which one I'm going to go for. Which one are you going to go for? Silver. Do you know?
I'll pick last again.
All right, Vulcan. You can go first this time.
I think for this deck, I'm going to go with the VulcanHDGamers.
Really? Okay.
Mainly because I think that they are an incredibly strong, like 15 strength unit that definitely like punishes like APCs and so on that get like a little bit too close, especially when they have like the Eric's armament, the VulcanHDGamers 90 in particular, CQC machine gun, like the MG3, which is close range equivalent of it. It's just incredibly strong. So yeah, just generally a really nice infantry unit with shock training. So yeah.
Okay, well, when we did the Norwegian deck, I went for the EOTS Hawk, which I still think is an amazing unit, but I don't want to go for the same one again, and I wish I'd swap these over, because this one that I'm going to choose is actually more effective in the Norwegian deck than it is in the Scandinavian deck, but I'm going to choose it anyway, and it is the F-16A Fighting Falcon with the big bombs. More effective in the Norwegian because you get 3, but I'm going to choose it as my favorite unit here because I chose the EOTS Hawk in the Norwegian video. So that's mine. And what about you, Vulcan? Silver?
Well, that leaves the EOTS Hawk with me because
It does.
Yeah, because everyone gets the EOTS Hawk.
Yeah.
And now that I keep hearing Vulcan this entire video about quality, I'm kind of tempted to switch out my militia for the regular Fallschirmjägers because, like Vulcan said, the anti-tank gun with the Fallschirmjägers over the Fallschirmjäger 90s firebore. They're meant for closer range, whereas Fallschirmjäger 90s are further. And I'm just debating whether I should switch that over or not.
Switch it then. Switch it.
Okay. I guess that's it.
Say you're going to do it, then the people will know.
All right, then I'll do that. I'll switch it over.
And with that, I'd like to thank Bubblebox and SilverRaptor for allowing me to help them with their Do Decks videos. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then please make sure that you check out the playlist in the description below. It will take you to all of the videos they have done so far on Wargame Red Dragon decks. So gameplays using these decks will be up soon. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.